The Prince of Egypt. Ever since he was working at Disney, Jeffrey Katzenberg was always interested in making an animated film based on the Book of Exodus. While he never got that chance because his old boss Michael Eisner said no, his passion project wouldn't fully bloom until he teamed up with Steven Spielberg and David Geffen in order to form DreamWorks, and place his animated Ten Commandments as the first hand-drawn film under his new studio, DreamWorks Animation. Now, the challenge with doing this is that mixing religious stories and animation has never been known to be a winning combination, especially when it comes with a lot of risk. However, when an animated film does try to tackle the Bible, it's usually met with weak results. I mean, it really says a lot when the most popular biblical animated property is VeggieTales. However, The Prince of Egypt has often been noted to be the one that's different and stand out from all the other religious animated features. Would it be because it's as miraculous as the parting of the Red Sea? Or is it as horrifying as the plagues of Egypt? Let's find out. The story. Before the movie would begin, it would present a message saying that even if it might have taken some creative liberties, the film does its best to stay true to the original story as told in Exodus. Honestly, it did not succeed on just accomplishing its mission. It actually did better than what it originally planned. What makes the story work is that it's told in a way that feels both fresh and familiar. It makes sure that it mostly sticks to the book and not even afraid to go into some of the grimmer details to prove its point, but the new element that it throws in is the execution. While other Exodus stories would be focusing more on the journey itself of how Moses freed the slaves from the Pharaoh, this movie makes it more character-driven, as it looks more into the emotions of the characters. This allows it to show a new perspective to see how they feel during these events, and actually make the movie more engaging since the Hebrews and the Egyptians act more genuine.
Father was furious. You were always getting me into trouble. But then, you were always there to get me out of trouble again.
Another new element that makes this film a more unique Exodus story is the theme of brotherhood. Many have forgotten that Moses and Ramesses grew up with each other as brothers, and this film takes complete advantage of that. It doesn't just say that one is good and the other is bad, they both wish that things can just go back to how they used to be. But they also know that it can never happen with Moses' new mission, resulting in both of them to take action that they're not happy with doing. If there would be one criticism with the story, it would have to be with the humor. It's not trying to be a comedy at all, but there are a few times when it tries to slip in a funny moment where the delivery of the punchline would sound like it came straight out of a family sitcom.
That's why Papa says she'll never get married.
But other than the little jokes, the story took something that's been told for thousands of years and make it feel fresh and exciting again. The animation. When DreamWorks was open for business, the company brought on board animators from both Disney and Spielberg's defunct animation studio, Amblimation. When looking into their first picture, it's pretty clear that they brought on board some top-quality artists because this looks magnificent. Starting with the character designs, their looks are reminiscent to Egyptian paintings. While at one point it can be taken literally, the designs would have it also look more organic, like mixing some realism and have that Egyptian art to have its own style. As for the character animation, this is where it stays more realistic to have smooth and natural movements, on top of some strong lighting effects to help set the mood of the scene and give the characters more depth. Nothing too out of the ordinary, it's to make sure how they move can feel like real people as much as their emotions are. However, the one standout element from its visuals is that this is possibly the best example of facial expressions in animation. The way that every subtlety can be clearly read out in their faces can say a lot more than what the dialogue can. In fact, some of the movie's strongest moments are when the characters don't talk, letting their movements and their expressions speak for them. With the backgrounds, they help make this movie seem big. Like, it does feel like the Pharaoh's kingdom rules over most of Egypt with some strong-looking architecture and larger-than-life sculptures. Not to mention, it also has a strong use of vibrant colors, but mostly kept the main palette yellow, gold, and brown to emphasize the period of ancient Egypt. Also, what's surprising about this feature is actually the use of CGI. At first, it can be worrisome that it might look dated and out of place, but then it turns out to be quite impressive, especially when used for the effects like with the sea. There's even some computer animation used for the backgrounds, and it can often feel unnoticeable. That's how good it can be. No matter where people stand with the Prince of Egypt as an Exodus adaptation, there's no denying that its animation makes it one of the best looking ones. The characters. As I've said before, this movie is a character-driven adaptation of the Book of Exodus, and one of the central themes of the feature is the brotherhood of the two main characters. With that amount of importance onto them, the characters successfully held their duty to not only stay true to how they are in the original story, but to also make them feel believable and relatable in order for the audience to connect with them and the film itself. Might as well start off with the messenger himself, Moses. Began as a mischievous and fun-loving son to the pharaoh, he would go through some tough life-changing transitions in order to learn who he truly is and what is his purpose. This allows the film to present a more human side of Moses, where he wants the best for everyone, even for the Egyptians he grew up with, but even he knows that sacrifices have to be made. Sure, it's God's will, but it hurts him a lot knowing that so many innocent lives and those he is close to have to pay the price in the name of a better life for the Hebrews. And then you have Ramesses. Often portrayed as more of a tyrannical figure in other adaptations, this movie presents him as a more sympathetic character. Throughout his life, even if he enjoys having fun with his brother, he always has to carry the burden of becoming the next pharaoh after his dad Seti. Because of this, he always fears of disappointing his father, even after he passed away, so he tries to make sure that he can do everything he can to not mess up his responsibilities and keep the tradition and dynasty alive, even when he has to face his beloved brother taking on the position of his enemy.
I do not know this god. Neither will I let your people go.
Ramesses, please, you must listen.
I will not be the weak link.
As for the other characters, while they don't have a role that is as prominent as those two, they still play a vital part to help the movie grow. Miriam is the one who reveals to Moses that he is actually Hebrew, since she and her brother Aaron are biologically related to him. Zipporah would become the wife of Moses while she and her dad Jethro help him transition to the Hebrew life. Seti is the leader of Egypt at the start of the film that Ramesses wants to have his approval, and Hoi and Hotep are the high priests that would use magician-style tricks to fool people thinking that the Egyptian gods hold the same power as the Hebrew god. While Moses' journey to free the slaves is fascinating, the way the film presents its characters bring this tale to a whole new level. The songs. Straight out of working on a couple of Disney films, the movie brought in Stephen Schwartz to create songs that would have the same impact as the ones in Pocahontas and The Hunchback of Notre Dame. The result turns The Prince of Egypt into an unforgettable musical where every number stands out as a strong highlight of the feature. What the songs have done is mix the styles of traditional Hebrew and ancient Egyptian to present the two groups of people in the picture. There are some that would go with one or the other to highlight whose perspective we're viewing from, like playing with the big boys for the Egyptian side, and the Hebrews would have through heaven's eyes.
Every spell and gesture tells you who's the best. You're playing with the big boys now.
You must look at your life. Look at your life through heaven's eyes.
However, there are moments when both tones would be prominent to present the conflict between the two people or within who Moses really is, with songs like Deliver Us, All I Ever Wanted, and The Plagues.
Now I am home. Here among my trappings and belongings I belong. You who I called brother, why must you call down another blow? Let my people go.
And then there is the Oscar-winning song When You Believe, the number that delivers the movie's message of hope that miracles and great things can happen when you still hold on to faith, even during the darkest times, resulting in one of the movie's most powerful moments.
There can be miracles when you believe. When you believe, though hope is frail, it's hard to kill. It's hard to kill.
DreamWorks has never been a studio that's known for producing musicals, but there's no denying that the movie has some of the best songs to ever come out of DreamWorks animation. What Cecil B. DeMille has achieved in cinema with the Ten Commandments, DreamWorks did the same thing in animation with The Prince of Egypt. The movie succeeds in taking a religious story and turn it into an extraordinary experience, complete with a story that stays true to the book while also making it feel fresh, absolutely beautiful animation, a strong cast that makes the characters feel real and genuine, and unforgettable songs that makes this movie a true spectacle. Without a doubt, this is a must-watch, especially for those who do take religion more seriously. They will have a lot of respect that this isn't just some cartoon that's just pandering the word of God to kids. It is capable of standing well on its own that even adults can watch it in the same way that they could watch the Ten Commandments. Not only would this be the kind of film that would get the AniMat's seal of approval, but it can also be placed as the greatest religious animated feature. Hey guys, this is AniMat. I just want to start things off by giving out a huge thanks to Red Bandit 101 for his amazing support on Patreon, which allowed him to get so many great rewards, including this one, where he would suggest to me to go and review The Prince of Egypt. And my god, what a beautiful film did he suggest to me. I mean, this really is one of those films where every single element just feels like they nailed it so well, especially a lot of them that I didn't fully discuss about onto my review as well, including the voice acting is great, it feels genuine, like they did a great job there, and especially the music by Hans Zimmer. And I've already discussed about the songs by Stefan Schwartz, but really it is Hans Zimmer whose score really did pack this powerful punch and really did make this movie feel strong as it is right now. And of course, I mean, there are a lot of other elements that do make this film feel powerful, but the songs and the score, they really are a key factor onto that. And, you know, it is a little bit funny to mention about The Prince of Egypt that it is definitely one of those films where even though it wasn't made by Disney, it's definitely one of those animated musicals that really do stand out and are worth talking about that were released throughout the 1990s. Even though, like I said, it's not made by Disney, but funny enough, there are a lot of elements that are from Disney anyways, where it built up to become so amazing as it is. Like, number one, I've mentioned in my review where Jeffrey Katzenberg would go and hire some animators at Disney to work on the visuals of The Prince of Egypt. And one animator in particular that really did bring out his talents very well and really does make him prove of how much of a great animator that he actually is actually James Baxter. He has already done a lot of amazing work at Disney, and then soon afterwards, like during the middle of the 90s, he would actually go and work at DreamWorks Animation, where he would do a few films there, including being the supervising animator of Moses in The Prince of Egypt. And especially with how this film does show some very strong facial expressions and some really genuine and believable movements. This is definitely one example where in his portfolio, it does prove how much James Baxter could actually even count as a master animator. Like, this is a man who can really make magic with animation. And of course, I've already mentioned Stephen Schwartz, and considering that this guy, he went immediately from Disney to this film, you can definitely tell this is during the period where he was working in some animated films. Like, the only comparison that I can have with his songs in this film would be with The Hunchback of Notre Dame, where they really do pack that punch, and they really are the highlights of the movie. So, you do see a little bit of Disney, how The Prince of Egypt ultimately came to be, but it really did turn out to be this strong and beautiful animated feature. So, with all that said and done, now that I have finished reviewing The Prince of Egypt, it is now time that we shall go and move on to the animation hat. And before I continue, I just want to start off by saying that if you guys would like to be like Red Bandit 101 and you would want to go and support my work and get some amazing rewards at the same time, which includes seeing my videos before anyone else, then all you have to do is just go to patreon.com/animat. But at the same time, if you guys would like to suggest an animated film you would like me to review and I would put onto the animation hat, then all you have to do is just write me an email at animatsreviews@gmail.com. So, with that said, let's go ahead and see what we would have. And, hold on. There we go. Okay, I got it right between my fingers. So, the next review shall be... Oh, no, wait. Oh, this way. Oh, yes, of course. I've heard about this film so much. So, we are definitely going to be going into indie territory. And considering that I've mentioned a lot about James Baxter and how much of an amazing animator that he is, we are going to be looking into another movie that is actually made by another well-known and prominent animator, a French animator in fact, which we are going to be looking into one of the movies by Sylvain Chomet. And no, this is not one of his more like big standout popular films, but this is definitely the one where all I could say is that no, this isn't the one where we have Edward Norton, or is it Edward Norton? Yeah, I think it's with Edward Norton and Paul Giamatti. Yeah, it's not that one. It's the other one.
Look at your people, Moses. They are free.